So what I'm doing is I am tying my lead onto my bobbin, and since I spin clockwise, I ply anti-clockwise. And this is all that's left on this bobbin because I already plied most of it up. And so and then took it off the bobbin so I would have a free bobbin. Cause I thought I had some more bobbins that were available for plying, but when you get in the spinning bug, sometimes you forget that why you had those free bobbins sitting around. It was so I could ply. Because this bag over here is full of spun yarn on bobbins for this year. This is my nitty knotty, and I'm using this big knit needle to stabilize it because it's cracked, and I got to get a new T join to replace the one that's cracked. But it gets the job done. It's this is a pre-made. I think it's an 18-inch. This center, and then you get two T bars joins, and then you just get the one that fits inside these and cut it. And I had it cut. I bought it was like a remnant piece, and I had them cut it for me at the hardware store. And I think I was at Home Depot, and I had them cut it into 4 pieces for me for my nitty knotty. And I put end caps on all the ends except for one. And this is the end that I slide my yarn off of after I finish winding up on the nitty knotty. So this, I'll show y'all. Let me get this set up real quick. I'll put so I don't lose my end. I put it back over the bobbin like that. I don't know if y'all can see that. So I pull it out. So I just sit it over the top of the bobbin so I don't lose my my end that I'm gonna be doing the chaining with. So this bag is full of hand spun. The ones that aren't bagged up are the ones that are like this was the last one I spun, which is my Snowy Owl, which is a blend of mohair, US wool from Brown Sheep Mills. It's like their blend, which has a lot of rambouillet in it. Some rabbit that I bought from Chris up in Vermont, some rabbit fur, and some rabbit fur from this lady that I bought from at Maryland Sheep and Wool, because she was getting ready to go to do her master's program or doctorate at Duke, so she wasn't going to have time to take care of her bunnies, so she was selling her bunnies and all their plucked fiber. So she sold me a big bag of the fiber for $8 freaking bucks. Yeah. So I had it blended up, and this is, I really like the color and the feel of this yarn. And then we have another one of these from some Falkland, not Falkland. This was Romney that my husband and I died a couple years ago. So I've been spinning up all that. This was Falkland that we died. And I actually still have some of that on the drop spindle. The bobbin was just too full. It couldn't take any more fiber. So some of this is drop spindle spinning. Some of it is spinning wheel spinning. So I have bags of spun fiber. This is what it was that I spun when I spun it. Like this is some chocolate alpaca. This is the natural color. And it's from 2016. And there's also some fan sheet further on this bobbin from a black fan sheet and some sari silk blended in there. Okay, so it's like 3 different spins on this one bobbin. And this it doesn't have a card on it, but I know it's some fiber that my husband dyed. And this is a merino and silk that I got from Nitpicks. Some of their bare fiber, and we dyed it. But like I said, this bag is full of 2023 spinning. I didn't get to spin as much as I wanted to because babysitting a lot, and at the time Chunk wasn't old enough to not to put her hands on stuff. So yeah. So all my bobbins are in this bag in one shape, form, or another. And I might have, I'll put a fork at the counter again. But I gotta start doing some plying because I need these bobbins freed up. And so that's what we're doing today. Plus these 5 up here. So right now I'm plying these fibers. The Romney is getting plied up. Because these are gonna take, they're so full, they are gonna take 2 bobbins to plow this up. Because I fill these to the brim. These are the bobbins that come with my wheel. And I have bobbins from when I had my first wheel before I had it converted into it used to be the bee, a worker bee. And then they came up with the queen bee. So I had my wheel converted to the first versions of the queen bee. And now they have queen bees where you can attach a woolly winder type deal to them. But my wheel is too old. I bought the woolly winder, but it won't work with my wheel. So I have to upgrade my wheel again, or I'm just going to save up and buy another queen bee with that the woolly winder can fit on. All right, so it's a little noisy because these bobbins rattle, so I apologize in advance. You got on headsets, you might want to lower the volume. So what you do is after you start plying, like I say, I'm plying in the opposite direction from that I spin. When you ply in the opposite direction that you spin, it's going to be taking a little twist out of there. But if you overspun that fiber and you come to a section that's overspun, you can hold that section for a while and allow it to take even more twist out of your spun yarn, your single. You just hold it. Let's say I had a section that was overspun. You just hold that section and slow down and just feel it. When it feels like less crunchy, more soft, then you can just go back to your regular plying. So trying to keep this the colors together. When you chain ply, you're keeping your colors together, depending on how you chain ply. I'm doing short sections right now. So I'm doing short sections right now simply because of how awkward it is right now. And I'm not at my most comfortable because of the way I got the camera set up and everything. And so as you see the yarn, it comes off and it'll do like what we call a pigtail, where it curls up like that. Once you straighten it out, you just make sure you pull that. I know you guys probably can't see it too well. Just make sure you pull it to pull those pigtails out so they don't get trapped. And then you end up with, unless that's the look you're going for, there's actually techniques where they do that on purpose. I spin worsted. That is what I'm comfortable spinning. That is what I like spinning. That is what gives me joy spinning, makes me happy. So I prefer worsted spinning, and so I do not like pigtails. I tried spinning art yarns. I did not like it, so I do not do it. So do not ask me to spin art yarn, because been there, done that, didn't like it, and I'm not going to do it again. My spinning is for me. It's a holistic for me. It's my happy place, and I'm not letting someone else's needs, wants, or desires, no matter how much they might offer, take me out of my zone, out of my happy place. Hi, Lydia. Good morning. Hi, Miss Joy. How you doing? And more people need to understand that money doesn't always make you happy. Like, why would you put yourself in a position where you're unhappy, where the craft that gives you joy is making you unhappy because of a dollar? No. I'd rather them keep their money, learn to spin themselves, and make the yarn they want themselves, because this is the yarn that I enjoy spinning. This is this type of spinning that makes me happy. So that's why I do it. All right, so I've gotten to the end of this bobbin, so I'm just going to sit that there, and I'm going to get this off. Try not to break it, but sometimes if it, because this is wool, this isn't super washed, so sometimes it will, depending on how long it's been resting on the bobbin, that twist will travel, and the fibers do rub against each other, because spinning it's kinetic energy being transferred from the spindle or the wheel. That twisting motion is being transferred to the fiber, and because it's kinetic energy, it's called an energized single. It travels. So I got it. I managed to get it loose. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my other bobbin. I'm going to put it on my onboard lazy cape. That's what these are called. This is a lazy cape. And I'm going to tie these together. I'm not going to felt them together because I want it to be strong. I don't want it coming apart. And it's hand spun. And it's my hand spun. So I'm not worried about somebody having a fit because of a knot. So I try to tie it together and make it as inconspicuous as possible. Like you can't even hardly see it. So when I apply that section, it should disappear into the yarn. All right, so that's up there. So now I have another bobbin freed up. Yay! And so what I do is when I apply this section, I want this section that I tied, I want it to lay down. I don't know if y'all can see that. It's gonna lay down along this section here, and that'll flatten it out. If I don't like the way it's looking, or if the fiber shifts, gets caught, then I will make this shorter. And I'll break it. So hold up. So what are you ladies doing today? What's y'all plans for this Saturday? Okay. This yarn is being a little, there it is, the end. Rambunctious this morning. What I'm doing is allowing twist to travel so that I can lay that piece down. And I'll show y'all the join in a second. Y'all switch pegs real quick. All right, so this is the area where the join is at. Let me see if I can get this up higher. All right. So this is the area right here where the joint is at. This area right here. And so as that twist goes through there, I'm just smoothing it out. So it's less noticeable. This is held on by magnets, so I was just pulling it too hard. All right, so and it's chain plying. It's just like if you take some yarn and you chain plying it, you're just going like this. So it's basically the same thing as crocheting, but it's with your hands. So you're just pulling it through the loop, and it's causing chains, like big chains. Just like with crochet. And I usually pull it this way. I know it's hard to see. This is a gray yarn. Unfortunately, I don't have white carpet. So I'm doing short pulls today because I want to try to keep the colors together. With the gray, it really doesn't matter. I could do longer pulls, like longer ones, you just pull it out like that, go up to the joint, and then so you have this long loop. Oh, awesome. When are you going to do your video? And so I want to move my pegs often so that I don't build up too much yarn in one spot. Because I wanted to try and keep it even to try and get as much yarn as possible onto this bobbin. But like I said, because I stuffed these bobbins with as much fiber as I could, I know it's going to take more than one bobbin to get it all off. So that's why I'm taking it straight to the nitty-knotty after I fill up a bobbin so I can free that bobbin up. If you hear somebody sound like they still coughing up a lung, it's my husband. Gotta get some more orange juice so I can make him some more of the rosemary, turmeric, and ginger tea. So this is taking a single and turning it into a 3-ply yarn. So this is going to be, once it's finished and it's fluffed up some, this is going to be more of a DK to sport weight yarn, simply because this Romney, it's a long wool, but it's just like our hair. If you have a thicker, woolly, coarser hair, then you're going to get a thicker yarn unless you spin it super fine. So this particular type of yarn is good for hats, mittens, things like that, fingerless gloves. If you're not sensitive to pricklier yarns, but this yarn tends to soften with wear and use as well. So you can use this to make sweaters that you're going to wear over long sleeves and stuff like that. It'll be fine. I like spinning Falkland from the fleece. Romney from the fleece because of I like the way the locks are. And so you'll see me stopping just to switch it to another peg to try to keep it even as I ply. If I had a woolly winder, it would be doing this for me. I wouldn't have to stop. I could just keep plying because the woolly winder is designed to actually slowly move back and forth along the bobbin to keep your spinning and plying even. You know those leaves that you rake up You can make a what's called a leaf mold cage with some chicken wire, and you can put all those leaves in there and let it rot down, and then you can use it in your garden, Miguel, and grow some more sunflowers and stuff for your birds. Um, Same thing with their yard waste. You could be mulching that and turning it into good garden mulch, good fertilizer for your garden. Grow more veggies and stuff for them. Like you can freeze some of the stuff you grow and then cut it up and throw it out to them in the winter. And they would have helped you grow their own food. So as you can see, the greens are staying together. Like when they change shades of color, you can see on the you can see up here how the colors are kind of staying together because of the chain plying. And you're gonna have a little bit of marbling here and there. And by marbling, what I'm talking about is like when it's plied and you can easily see the other colors striping. So you're gonna have that regardless if it's hand dyed and you're hand spinning. You're gonna have a little bit of marbling, but it won't be as noticeable as if I was using 3 separate bobbins and I have no control over where each color change begins and ends. Now there are some people who love that. They love that in their yarn, having that randomness of the colors marbling together and over barber poling and stuff like that. I myself do not particularly enjoy that when I'm plying, and so I almost always ply this way through chain plying. So I have control over when and where my marbling is, and it's not a long range of marbling. Like it's only like a little short blip in the yarn versus being like this real long section of marbling that would happen if I used the 3 bobbins. Because these are from 4 different fibers, for 4 different bobbins, 4 different, I can't even think right now, sections of dyed top. So I can't control where the color changes happens and everything, because one was dyed in sections, the gray, the green, the grayish green. One was only the bottom part was dipped in the gray dye, and then the top part was dipped in the green. So we did different dyeing styles for the different top. It means the same the same ramen fiber, but we use different dyeing techniques for all 3 or 4. I think it was 4, completely 4, because some of it was already on drop spindles. I had been taking it to work and spinning it on my lunch break before I switched over to bobbins. Switched over to the spinning this way. Hey, Steve. And by smoothing the yarn, I'm also filling to make sure that my section or the chain ply feels nice and smooth, that it doesn't have like this giant clump or lump, which would mean I either have a pigtail or the yarn wasn't spun very well in that area. Sometimes you have to change the angle. So now I'm back to gray. And let me see if I can pull it out and show you guys what I was talking about. If there's too much up there already. There's too much up there already. It goes out over here. But see, this is where, right here, this is where it switched from green over to gray. And as you can see, there's not a lot of green in this section right here. That's for the chain ply to keep the colors together. I have a Margie Craft rose, but this the that stair step action of spinning on that rose just irritates my knees. Whereas with this, I can just spin with my toes. I'm only using my toes to spin. That's why I love this wheel, and um, because it's more ergonomic, less wear and tear on your joints. Good morning, Miss King. How are you? I think once it is finished and washed, it's gonna fluff up to be a DK or a light sport. This is what it looks like right now. And you can see there's a little bit of twist in there, but so once I excuse me, once I wash it and thrack it and it poofs up a little bit, I think it's gonna be a DK to a light sport, which for me is saying something because but it's the fiber. It's what the fiber wants to be when you spin it. And this is Romney, so I was suspecting that of it to begin with, since it's a larger um, diameter fiber. Thank you, thank you. Because I spun it in strips, lengthwise, the color, um, and that's why it ends up like that. Let me see. So you can see it. Get it tangled up on you. Okay. So that's why you get it like lengthwise. My water bottle fell. Yeah, I was just having me a good old time spending these last couple of days, and I realized that I only got one bobbin left. I better start doing some plying. So I always try to ply all my yarn I spun during the year before the end of the year, so I can weigh it to see how much I spun this year. It's not like my goal is always to try to spend 20 pounds, but since I've been getting these grandbabies, I haven't been having as much time for spinning because I don't this is a fast high speed flyer. I don't want to risk breaking their fingers for them trying to stick their hand in there. I want them to be old enough that when I tell them no, they understand no touchy, you know. And so yeah, since right now until Luna gets here today, I'll be able to do some plying and try to at least get through this Romney. I got 2 more bobbins of this to ply of this particular colorway. So I just hopped on because I was bored and lonely. Not necessarily bored, but lonely. Because my husband is in there. He's still in the bed, chilling. And watching a hip hop show that he likes to watch. All right, so, okay, I thought I felt a pigtail, but I didn't. But I like spinning worsted because when you spin worsted, you're getting every last inch of that fiber spun up. It's not, I don't know. It's like I said, it's each to their own. I do not like art yarn at all. Because I look at it and I say, man, I could have got about 300 yards out of that. That could have made some mittens. That could have made a hat. That could have made a nice shawl or a cowl. Instead, it's 20 yards of this giant yarn. It's like, other than pitting it and looking at it, what are you going to do with it? So, I mean, and like a lot of times, this hand dyed fiber, if you're buying it for someone else and you're not doing it yourself, it is not cheap. It could be just as much as a hank of nice yarn. So you might be spending $35, $40 for some hand dyed fiber from one of the well-known dyers, and you only got 10 yards of yarn out of that. I mean, to me, that's crazy. When you could have gotten 380 to 400 yards, depending on how fine you spin it. Like when I go to fiber festivals and stuff, and if I always buy yarn from what's it called, Mountain something Misty Farms, at Maryland Sheep and Wool, I always get fiber from them, and it's either Rambouillet or Shetland fiber that I get from them that they dye, and I always wait until I have an idea of how I want to spin it, depending on how long their color sections are. Sometimes I pull it apart by the color section. Sometimes I'll do it by the long strips to keep the color sections together. And so it's always like you can have a plan for your spinning. It's like this section is a little bit more fluffy, so I'm just helping smoothing it out. That's one of the things with hand spun is you're gonna have areas that aren't perfect, like store-bought yarn or mill spun yarn. You're gonna have little areas that the yarn's gonna have some little bit of character to it. Granted, I'm a pretty even spinner, but even my yarn, I have little sections where You might have a little thicker spot where more fibers got managed to get through, or it might be a join where I had added the other color to it. So that's the nature of hand spun yarn. That's the beauty of hand spun yarn. It's not perfect, and neither are spinners. They're not perfect. I might fall asleep spinning. You never know why that yarn is changed in a particular spot. I might have fallen asleep while I was plying. I've done it. My husband has woken me up, but my brain was shutting down, but my hands were still spinning. So you don't want to go into that angle. I add more attention to it. See if that'll pull on. There we go. So it just doesn't want to go on. So sometimes you might have a little stray fiber, since it is a long wool, that has wrapped itself around it. So I'm just going to help it on the bobbin. And that should fix the issue, hopefully. There we go. So this particular wheel has pegs, not hooks, on the flower head. And I modified it because of how fast I spin. The yarn kept popping off the pegs. So I got these little washers and put at the top of my pegs to give the heads of my pegs a larger diameter so that it doesn't just pop off. And I can adjust these little, if I notice them popping off a particular peg, I can loosen it and I can move this washer around so until I figure out where it's popping off at, and then I can put the wider side of the washer to the right or the left, wherever that peg is trying to pop off at. And like when I figure out little things like that, I share it with people over in the Spinolution group, because they might be having the same issue. Okay, Steve, thank you for coming by. Take care. Have a good day. I'm not going to be on much longer. I want to see people's videos. And so I know y'all can't see this yarn, but this is how I ply. So I'm going to let y'all go. My granddaughter's going to be here soon. So I got some yard work I want to do with her. So y'all take care.